And what kind of pal tries to sell us out to the separatist clones?
He's my clone, baby. Google Gaga. Oh, Gaga, mama, I'm a clone, baby. No.
Hello friends, and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily Reddit content. Anywhere on the internet. Promise, swearsies, it's just a fact, and it's totally science. Go ahead and Google it or something. You can actually look it up on Urban Dictionary now, courtesy of Strawberry Bell. I thought that was super cool. Official, look at this right here. Dang, that's neat. Anyways, today we're jumping into r/Tales of Neckbeards, a couple more Skeletor entries from Zuko 101. We are going to wrap this up today, which is super exciting. I'm ecstatic to see how this ends out because Skeletor is quite a character. He doesn't seem to have any brain at all, which might just go along with, being a skeleton. Maybe he doesn't eat enough sustenance. Maybe we should be worried about this dude a little bit. But at the end of the day, I'm sure he lived a long and healthy and partially brain-dead life. I'm already dropping firebombs. We're not even into the story. All right, let's get some plugs and disclaimers out of the way, and then we will jump right into this Neckbeard gaming cringe. Zuka's Gaming Group Tales, the Skeletor miniseries, Episode 3, Old Republic Blues. Goodness, we have come a long way, haven't we? We've explored the depths of Burgerbeard's foolishness, followed him as he found love, bounced back to Skeletor and discovered that he was a ghoul in geek's clothing, and now we're here, the third of 4 installments in the Skeletor miniseries. I bend my knee and stoop my head in respect to ReddX. Oh my goodness, please, arise. First to read these tales, and perhaps not the last. Maybe Moonhorse was reading some Caustic Fox tales. He's covering the D saga now, so who knows where this could go. ReddX is also a man who once shared a homeland with I, but, like myself, escaped the burgeoning insanity. California, rip. And yeah, I loved episode 1 Pod Racer 2, but it's not exactly rich in lore. It tells you all you need to know, Zuka, okay? You cannot beat Sebulba. That's it. What's this? A universe where a bunch of weirdos race around in chariots made from jet engines? And you cannot beat Sebulba. I don't know why that voice line is stuck in my head so hard. Included in this tale is a picture of the very chair in which Turtle and Skeletor nested. After extensive shampooing, it serves ably as a chair in which I read the literary works of humanity and get away from electronic distractions. There's some headphones right there, bro. You gotta get those electronic distractions out of there. No, but it does look like a pretty comfy chair. It's nice and big for big, beardy butts. She's got stains, but she's the comfiest chair in the house. Looks pretty comfy, but there are still some rumors circulating around that it is cursed. I hope that it's doing better these days. Anyways, this next entry catalogs the fall of Skeletor's character, an event that serves as a prelude to the fall of the man himself, not just from grace and the gaming group, but from the status of a free man. What? Oh, now you got me hooked. See, by the time Skeletor had come around, our group's experiences with Burgerbeard had reduced our tolerance for nonsense to just a thimble's worth. Skeletor was irritating, but wasn't truly awful, until, that is, a dark and stormy night, when we learned what darkness lurked in Skeletor's heart. Oh, you got me hooked already, man. Don't build it up too much. And especially after watching the He-Man Christmas special, I believe that I would vastly prefer the company of Skeletor's namesake to the frightening fedora-wearing lich who haunted us. Our dramatis personae. We've got Skeletor, Zuka, Badastovich, Dragon, Ninetails, Radio, Slumsy, Wrangler. The gang is all here. The stage is also the same as in the first couple of tales, so that is linked in the description if you'd like to hear me read all of that. But I'm eager to get into it, as I said. So the troupe is essentially ready, and the stage is mostly set for the Skeletor miniseries, Episode 3, Old Republic Blues. Star Fox 64 stage start chime.
Good luck.
Side note, back when I was a kid and playing Star Fox 64, I always thought what we heard upon starting a level was embark. That felt so unique and cool and epic to me. Come to find out, it's good luck. Which is nice and all, but I don't know. Just feels like a little air was let out of that preconceived notion. Anyways, on with the show. I think embark would be better too because General Pepper's like a dog, right? It's layered, but oh well. As mentioned above, 'twas a dark and stormy night when Skeletor surprised us all with, but I get ahead of myself. Let's paint the events from the borders of the picture. So the group had pursued Count Maul across the Outer Rim, captured him, and learned that he was supplying the Outer Rim Confederacy with vast fleets, armor, weapons, and other such resources. He had used the Force to lock away partitions of his mind, so that even he himself couldn't remember where he found what he did, saying that the knowledge was dangerous and he accepted defeat. Of course, just because Count Maul accepted defeat doesn't mean that the rest of the Confederacy did, so Chancellor Organa, voted in to replace the freshly assassinated Chancellor Valarum, tasked our heroes with sussing out the truth and pulling out the Confederacy's teeth. Count Maul warned that the path they chose to walk would take them to cross paths with the dark side in more ways than one. But still, our heroes pressed on in spite of these warnings. The first hint of the trail led them to walk the path of Revan, a Jedi of the Old Republic who had purportedly fallen to the dark side, only to redeem herself. Her fall was purely calculated, and she knew the heavy cost that it would incur. And part of that cost was a conquest of the Republic under the guise of the Sith fleet, something she would never have been able to do as a Jedi, leading the Republic Navy against the Mandalorian invasion. The path of Revan led them eventually to the location of a terrible instrument of the dark side, an edifice called the Star Forge, which fed on emissions from a sun to build vast fleets and resources. It outlived its creators, who lived on in legend as the Infinite Empire. It was destroyed, but over time had rebuilt itself, until Count Maul, desperate to protect the Outer Rim, found the terrible thing and realized too late that it was influencing the would-be defenders of the Outer Rim worlds to make war on their neighbors, and that his sacking of Alderaan had dealt the economy of the Republic a blow from which it was struggling to recover. He had meant to push them off balance, not completely topple them. All of this flew completely over Skeletor's head, mind you.
He just wanted some action.
In more ways than one. Action of the martial persuasion. As Jan Jan the Gungan, hey, I spelled it right this time. Are you happy, Leon? Just blame autocorrect, bro. Jan Jan saw to it that he had plenty of action between the space sheets on his flying shoebox of a ship. Seriously, the Pursuer class Enforcer ship looks like a shoebox with an outrigger. I am so serious, you guys. Google that thing. Here's the picture that I found. Anyway, the group in their Citadel-class cruiser named the Shadow Chaser, Google that. To quote Hey Arnold Stanky Peterson, it's Purdy, Arnold. And Skeletor in the Heart of Gold. Yes, he actually managed to make a geeky reference after my description of the ship made him think of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. They left their ships in orbit and crash-landed in their mini-shuttles on the homeworld of the Infinite Empire, in the same system that the Star Forge occupies. The planet projects a power-nullifying field from a temple-like structure. Anyone who's ever played the absolute gem of a game, Knights of the Old Republic, knows what's going down. That is a gem of a game, my goodness. Gotta replay that one soon. The group met with the violent, cannibalistic remnants of the Infinite Empire, Rakatans, who once held the galaxy by the throat some 50,000 years prior. Insert Mass Effect joke here. What can you tell me about the Reapers? The group managed to negotiate with them for entrance to the temple, and were guided through the vast stone corridors. Skeletor and his faithful bodyguard droid begin to evaluate the Rakatan numbers. Uh-oh. So the group had left Dragon's Jawa character and his team of astromech droids, with a little help from a certain Gungan Cougar, to cobble together a ship from all the wrecked vessels laying around the vast beaches, so that they could get back to the Heart of Gold and Shadow Chaser, and as such, the group was without one of their resident voices of reason. I forget what was immediately said, but sometime after deactivating the power dampening field, the group were peacefully on their way out when Skeletor casually withdrew a thermal detonator and chucked it into the big chasm that, until it had been turned off, was causing the planet to make ships crash. This, of course, did not please the cannibalistic Rakutans. In point of fact, it made them quite unhappy indeed. Badastovich slowly turned his head to where Skeletor was sitting.
Skeletor,
He calmly asked.
what did you just do?
Wrangler slapped the top of the table, grabbing his head and letting out inarticulate noises of anger and frustration, so fed up with Skeletor that his ability to parse words had just completely short-circuited. Radio looked around at the rest of the group, speaking in character as the Togruta Jedi, who had recently attained the rank of Knight, graduating from Padawan Learner.
Friends, he has frequently made his bed. It's time he learned to sleep in it. Run!
I eyed everyone at the table, knowing what this would mean. Are you sure? I asked. Radio looked across to Skeletor, who couldn't be bothered to pay attention even during the action time, the magic twinkling sound of spending hundreds of dollars, as I had just recently learned, on his mobile waifu game, not just dozens, filled the air. Radio's expression hardened.
I'm sure.
He looked around the pensive faces of the group.
We're all sure.
I just love how Skeletor's not paying attention to any of this shit. Just sitting with his magical waifus on his phone, and then he's gonna be like,
what? I died? That's so unfair.
The group, who I had been rewarding for avoiding unnecessary bloodshed, chose not to fight the angered Rakutans and left Skeletor's character behind, who had already initiated combat. Using the Force to speed up their expeditious retreat, the last they saw of Skeletor's lawyer and his combat droid was a rapidly encroaching wave of Rakutans, already tearing him limb from limb for the stew pot. Phoenix Wrong was now Alien Chow. Rip, F in the chat, boys. It was at this point that Skeletor, who had been rolling one failed attack after another, watched as the Rakutan mob took its turn and just completely overwhelmed him. He could have fled with his colleagues, but he chose to try and fight several dozen of these things. Big balls, no brain. The whole group would have smoked them, but not so much alone Skeletor and his droid. I saw an expression of anger finally twist his ghoulish countenance. Hooray, some emotion. He threw his arms up.
What the fuck, you guys? You left me to die! What kind of friends are you?
There was a moment of quiet at the table. Wrong thing to say, Skeletor. Wrong thing to say. Wrangler spoke first.
What kind of friend steals credits from the group fund to buy a custom droid that only protects you?
Dragon chimed in.
Yeah, and what kind of friend tries to sell my wife to Durga the Hutt?
Ninetails made a little humph at that, folding her arms and sticking her nose into the air to emphasize her husband's point. Badastovich leaned over the table.
Yeah, and what kind of pal tries to sell us out to the Separatist clones?
Side note, my alternate universe had a different take on the Clone Wars, namely that the Separatists had custom-made horrific monstrosities, huge custom-built soldiers, cloned from normally peaceful, if giant people, and they unleashed them upon a poorly defended republic, which was forced to conscript anyone who could hold a blaster or a vibroblade, forcing the peaceful Jedi into the horrors of war, which dwindled their number to a scant few. All by wicked design, to be sure. Anyways, the table continued to air Skeletor's dirty laundry, all his little irritations and backbites coming back to haunt him like a post-mortem trial. He responded to the litany of his sins by kicking the ottoman that goes with the easy chair up into the air, making it sail over Badastovich's head, putting a dent into my wall, and shattering my Razorback, which is a 40K model, a Rhino transport with a giant las cannon on top, the second time that very model had been wrecked. Was this ottoman filled with helium, or is this boy just like super strong? He's got some stringy muscle. And the poor Warhammer model, it's been there and back again. Badastovich responded by leaping to his feet, and before Radio or myself could stop him, walloped Skeletor across his bony chops. "Settle the fuck down, you moron!" he roared. Skeletor reached for his Swiss Army knife, fumbling with it while swearing up a storm. A surprise to us all, since he hadn't expressed any sort of emotion or passion for anything. He wheezed his dry, rattling battle cry as he continued to try and get his thumbnail under the notch to pull the 2.5-inch long blade from the knife. That's so ridiculous. By now, Radio had bolted upright and shoved Badastovich aside to slap the knife out of Skeletor's gaunt hands. "Okay, calm the hell down, man," he snipped. At this point, I gently released one hand from the can of pepper spray that I had readied, seeing that it wouldn't be needed, and the other from my phone, having put in 911. Skeletor began yelling, "You screwed me over, man! You left me to get fucking eaten!" Radio shook his head in disgust. "You played your own damn self, son. Kept screwing around and monkey-wrenching our plans. Wouldn't work with us on anything. You just came up with the most violent ideas you could. If you ever bothered to do anything." Skeletor let out a combination growl wheeze. "You didn't let me do anything," he countered. I finally broke my silence. "I'm sorry, bud, but I frequently offered you chances to get involved. You kept playing on your phone, and hey, that's fine, dude. If that's your jam, it's your jam. But we're all here to play Star Wars tonight. Listen, you are not the first person to lose a character. It sucks, but it happens. We can whip up a new character, and you can use what you've learned to be a better player. I wasn't too great at decision-making and role-playing when I first started," I offered, smiling amicably. Skeletor stared at me. "But I've gamed for 6 years," he objected. "And what have you learned?" I slumped, just having no idea what to say at this point. He wanted the prestige of being a tabletop gamer, but wasn't willing to dedicate an ounce of effort into immersing himself or at least admitting that he didn't know what the hell he was doing. "Do you still want to make a new character at least?" I offered. "Nah, I think I'm done." "Thank God," he mumbled, sitting back down in the chair and returning to his twinkling waifu game, delivering unto his ears siren calls of simulated affection in return for not-so-simulated currency. The rest of the game continued, with Dragon's Jaw using spit, baling wire, and happy thoughts to construct a ship that finally got them back into orbit on their vessels. They informed Jan Jan, who the group had cultivated a begrudging respect for, after she opened some of the Outer Rim's seedier doors to them, and had bailed them out of an encounter with the very angry Hut Swoop race organizer. We said that her prince had fallen on the world below, sparing her the grisly details, and telling her that the Heart of Gold belonged to her now, and that she could do with it as she wished.
"Misa come this far, Misa gonna see this through,"
was her enthusiastic response. The group had cultivated more respect and affection for an imaginary Gun prostitute than for the Weasley man who had hired her services. Granted, I admit to trying to flesh out and breathe life and character into more permanent NPCs into whatever game I run, but it was still pretty touching to see. Skeletor grumbled from his nest on my chair. "It's my ship!" "Now it's Jan Jan's," Wrangler chimed in. "Come on, guys, don't kick downward," I urged. I'd had a bad feeling starting to grow in my gut since Skeletor's blowout, that sense that you get before lightning strikes. As I held my cat in one hand, waving my guests of the night out the door, that sense of unease still hadn't left me. And it wasn't until the following Saturday that I realized what those bad feelings were about. Stay tuned, time-weathered friends, readers, fellow Americans, friends from distant lands, for the last tale of Skeletor is the next one to be told, and we will see the events that lead him to a long stay behind bars. Gene Starwind better get ready to outwave. See you soon, And readers, both strictly visual and the few, the proud, the oral readers, you have my deepest and humblest gratitude for taking a look at these chronicles. I'm very happy that it's proving to be entertaining, and I hope to see you next time. Coming up next, the Skeletor miniseries episode 4. We're not here to hurt you. Not physically, at least. Oh my god, does he actually go to jail? This is too much, dude. He's got quite a temper on him, which is something that I honestly didn't expect. I think he's got flat effect, which is like that thing that serial killers have, where you can't really discern any sort of expression on their face unless they're like willfully making that expression. So hopefully we can still end up having a laugh at what happens next, but man, this dude is more dangerous than I thought. How can you be mad that your character died when you weren't even fucking paying attention? He's like, yeah, I'm gonna fight all these dudes. I'm sure my people will back me up. Well, didn't you hear? They fled. Maybe if you pulled your nose out of magical waifu game, you would have discerned what was going on and fled as well. Possibly lived. And Zuka, being ever the pragmatist, he's like, do you want to roll another character? I know you're fucking horrible at this game and we can hardly stand pushing you through it, but if you want to roll another one, I guess we'll let you. I think it's super interesting that he returned the next week, so I guess we'll have to suss out his alibi in the next story, so let's go ahead and jump on into it. Zuka's gaming group Tales, the Skeletor miniseries, episode 4, the finale.
We're not going to hurt you.
Cometh now the end of our time with Skeletor. Aww. The man who knew nothing of tabletop was too egotistical to accept gently offered help and made a general ass of himself on many an occasion. But up until the Ottoman flinging of last episode, he was, to quote the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, mostly harmless. Dramatis persona has changed a bit. We've got Skeletor, the sorry son of a gun who instituted a series of events that ruined the year for several people. Zuka, master of ceremonies, guy who ran the majority of the games during the time Skeletor was present. The events of this last entry saw me bear witness to a cascading series of horrible decisions that stacked up on each other like a drunken game of Jenga, if the blocks were replaced with slivers of gelatinized urine. What a pissy time. Dragon, the guy who would later provide court testimony. Ninetails, lead of the search party. What? This is getting deep, bro. Radio, victim of secondhand shenanigans. For the record, he's also a dead ringer for Gerard from Storage Wars. Gerard? Whatever, I don't watch Storage Wars. Slumsy had mine and Wrangler's back during the more tense moments. And Wrangler, the shopping cart cowboy. Also the guy who found himself the unwitting victim of a crime that robbed him of every penny of his savings. Really? Hoard Prime. Skeletor's grandma, and the one who pushed the first domino of legal action. The stage, the quiet Central Coast town of Santa Maria, known for its perfection of tri-tip barbecue, proximity to the finest locations on the Central Coast, farming and ranching excellence, and strawberry fields forever. If you've seen the movies Cowboy Up or Sideways, then you've seen my former homeland, the place that I grew up and a place that I deeply miss. You could go back, OP, just for a visit. The troupe is ready, the stage is set, for the Skeletor miniseries, episode 4, the finale.
We won't hurt you.
Starfox 64 stage start chime.
Good luck.
The week after the instance where Skeletor's character met his end in a Rakatan stew pot, I welcome my friends and guests back into my home, only for Wrangler to darn near kick the door down in a fit of mad rage. That bastard, that rat fucker, that cock-biting, overbitten, tramp-stamping, lipstick-looking, non-denominational son of an Irish setter! Wrangler bellowed, circling in the middle of my living room, flailing his arms around as he found his small wiry frame too meager to contain the rage that was thrumming through every cell of his being. Wrangler, it should be noted, is on the spectrum, and a guy that I had met during my 4-H days during the county fair. Over the years, myself and the group had helped him cultivate his social skills and thicken his skin to the rigors of the world, and he has very rarely expressed outright rage like this. We'd put a lot of work into this dude, and it was immensely disheartening to see him in such a state of overwhelming distress. He was literally hopping mad now. Bud, what the heck's wrong? I asked him, putting a hand on his shoulder to help him ease out of murder, death, kill mode. That two-time dirty son of a bitch! He stole it! He stole everything! Wrangler screamed. Radio leaned up, frowning. You want to share the deets with the rest of the class? Slumsy cracked his knuckles. It was fucking Skeletor, wasn't it? Wrangler sniffled, nodding. Radio stood up from the couch, something he rarely does, for it is a couch so singularly comfortable as to be classifiable as a really wide throne. Buttery, black Italian leather, high-tech lattice cushioning, ensuring that if a cannonball were dropped from an airplane onto the sofa next to you, your posterior's tactile senses wouldn't register so much as a tremor. And this majestic piece of furniture I got for $35 reduce at an estate sale. What a deal, dude. Reminds me of the porno couch that we found behind the studios in Burbank. Black leather, it was super nice. We dragged it home. But yeah, considering the studios we found it behind and the reputation Burbank has, I'm pretty sure it was a porno couch at one point. So for Radio to disengage his backside from this divine piece of furniture the angels had named Sofa and resume standing, an act that gives his bad knee no small amount of deep gnawing pain, this means that dung has officially manifested and quite possibly hit the fan. Or if you prefer the layman's nomenclature, shit has gotten real and also quite possibly hit the fan. What happened, man? Radio asked as he drew close. Wrangler wiped his eyes after withdrawing his glasses. Skeletor, I needed to hide my money from my little brother. He kept stealing it, so I asked Skeletor to look after it and... haven't you ever heard of a bank, dude? Or like the credit union right outside your store? Dragon asked, despondent that Wrangler had once again played himself. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't think of that, okay? Wrangler hissed. Easy, bud. So, what? He won't give you your money back? I asked. He said he won't. He already spent half of it, Wrangler exclaimed. How much did you give him? Ninetails asked, patting Wrangler's shoulders to comfort him and calm him down. $3.5 grand, Wrangler snipped. The room fell silent. Dude, seriously? Fucking bank next time. Let's go, Slumsy said, grabbing his coat, a look of determination on his face. We're gonna get your fucking money back from that lanky shitheel. I headed straight for my front door, keys in hand. Amen that one, I affirmed. I'll drive. Where's he live? Radio asked as we power walked out to the driveway. I leaped into Godspeed and turned over the SUV's engine. With his grandma Hoard Prime in that retirement village off Bradley, across from the high school, Wrangler explained. Loser, Radio chortled, as we dramatically peeled out and drove like the devil himself was swiping at our heels with his pitchfork. I mean, not that. We didn't do that. We responsibly drove at a safe speed to the aforementioned village. Don't want to incriminate yourself. Let me do the talking, I told Wrangler as we all stood outside the door. True enough, the place was a pleasant-looking house in a village whose residents were chiefly senior citizens and retirees. Technically speaking, Skeletor wasn't even supposed to be living there. I later learned that this guy was completely disowned by his own parents, but his grandma took him in on the condition that he look after her in her twilight years. This sweet, stereotypically kindly-looking old woman answers the door, smiling cheerfully. Oh my, hello. Are you some of Skeletor's friends? Hoard Prime asks. I love that you call her Hoard Prime. It's so ridiculous. Smiling in that saccharine way that only sweet old ladies can. Wrangler leans in, hands tightly clenched as he speaks through gritted teeth. Don't worry, we're not gonna hurt you. He opened up with that gem of a line. Massive brain fart. Her eyes suddenly widened as she began regarding us with panic, reaching for her panic pendant, the kind that summons help if she accidentally hurts herself. Whoa, I said we're not gonna hurt you! Wrangler was cut off as Slumsy elbowed him in the ribs. I resumed my role as alpha geek. and spoke up after having gotten over the shock of Wrangler's worst opener ever. Please pardon my friend. He's fit to be tied, I tell ya. He's got a grievance with your grandson, and he's just not thinking straight. He misappropriated some funds by mistake from Wrangler here, and we just want to know how to resolve the situation without getting the police involved or anything like that. Is Skeletor here right now? Oh, she murmured, seeming to understand what was going on now. He's gotten himself in trouble again, huh? I told him he was heading down a road that I couldn't follow, and that he'd live to regret it if he didn't shape up. That boy's managed to reclassify laziness. Well, we sure weren't expecting that little rant. Okay, great. Where is he? Wrangler impatiently pressed. Wrangler, be nice, Ninetails chided him. Easy to say that when you don't have $3.5 grand just walking around, Wrangler murmured. Well, he's not here. He went to Blue's electronics store with Yellow Label. Said he got a... Oh, he said he got a raise at work. I guess that's not the case, is it? Why didn't you tell us sooner? Wrangler screamed in a sudden panic, tripping over himself as he ran back to the car, just in time to see the flashing red lights of an ambulance and police car come around the corner, sirens wailing. Wrangler looks like he wants to explode and take Skeletor with him, while everyone is just giving him the stink eye. By the time all is said and done, we're kicked out of the village and given a warning for trespassing and harassment. It took almost an hour to hammer it all out, and between my eloquence and Radio's familiarity with police procedure, we did manage to avoid outright penalties, but we were now officially on paper-thin ice. One little bump in the wrong direction, and the local law would come down on our heads like a two-handed gavel blow from Super Mecha Judge Judy. Oh boy, I miss Judge Judy. I'm gonna tell you that. Wrangler, being the one that Granny Hoard Prime fingered, is the troublemaker of our little band of misfits. Wrangler's countenance had turned purple over the course of the whole affair, and I could hear the miniature fireworks display and every capillary in his face exploding. So, did you tell him you're missing money? Dragon asked. No way, they confiscated or something, Wrangler retorted. I'd never see it again. Dragon threw his arms up in the air, shaking his head as he just walked in a circle. Really, Wrangler? Really? Ninetails sighed. I snapped my fingers loudly to keep us from devolving into bickers. Whoa! Easy, everyone. Skeletor is still at large. He doesn't have a bike, and I doubt anyone would give him a ride. We can still beat him to Blue Electronics Store. Blue Electronics Store with yellow tag? Is that Best Buy? Can I say that? They're not a sponsor, so it's not Best Buy. Definitely not. What's the secret to getting people to stop complaining at each other? Common enemy, baby! On the way there, we help Wrangler figure out what he'll say if we deal with the police again. Okay, so one more time, Wrangler. What will you say? Radio prompts him. That I didn't tell him about the missing money because I wanted to handle it internally before bothering the police with it, Wrangler stiffly recited. Yeah, only when you say it, try not to sound like a fucking robot, Radio grumbled. We pull up in the parking lot of the store, and we ask around after Skeletor's whereabouts. Hey, have you seen an emaciated, unhealthy-looking guy who looks like someone screwed up a zombie incantation halfway through, and also he wears a fedora? My words, verbatim. God. They're just going to point you to Skid Row. Although I don't think heroin addicts usually wear a fedora. That is the classifying feature. Oh yeah, guy came through earlier, grabbed a super duper 90X gaming laptop from Super Duper Computer Brand. The cashier comes back without missing a beat. How much did it cost? Wrangler shakily asks. Oh, like $1,400, the cashier says. Didn't buy the warranty though. Not wise. Dragon and Ninetails, sensing that Wrangler is about to cause another scene, take him by the arms outside of the store. Slumsy following behind with a watchful eye as he scans the horizon, hoping to perhaps see a spindly scarecrow of a bastard, beating a hasty retreat. Listen, our friend there got stolen from by that guy, and we're just trying to confront him about it and get our pal's dough back, I explained. Stole it? Like, out of his pocket? The cashier inquired. More or less, I come back. Why didn't he use a bank? The blue polo-clad retail worker innocently asked. Fucking right? Radio growled. Do you still have a copy of the receipt? I tentatively asked. The cashier stiffens, biting his lips. We really aren't allowed to give those away. Give me a minute, Radio says. Go check on Wrangler. I head over, glancing over my shoulder at Radio, who's hunched over the counter and speaking in a hushed tone to the cashier before heading outside, being greeted by a wall of miserable noise. Why would they sell to that fuck? Wrangler screeched. Why didn't you put your money in the freaking bank? Ninetails prodded. Easy, y'all. I'm getting pretty tired of playing referee here, so just cool your jets, okay? I snip. Radio comes out with a copy of the receipt in hand and a smirk on his face. How the hell? I begin. Jedi mind trick, he says, tapping his temple. Bullshit. I saw you slip that kid a 20. Dragon laughs. We all pile into Godspeed and start back along surface roads, looking for Skeletor's very distinct profile. What we would do if we actually found him was anybody's guess at that point. But find him we did, sitting outside of a popular cafe, sipping a coffee as he fiddled around on a slick gaming laptop. The cockbite opened it, Wrangler seethed, fidgeting like a jumping bean in his seat as we pulled into the parking lot. We all walk up, Dragon and Ninetails keeping a hold on Wrangler's shoulders. Don't do anything dumb, Ninetails murmured. We can still return the computer and get you some of your money back. Well, dumber, Radio snips, still sore about the police warning. Say there, Skeletor, I exclaim in as jovial a manner as my frayed nerves can manage. What's up? Skeletor, strung out on whatever improvised pharmaceuticals are tethering him to this mortal plane of existence, leaps to his bony feet, snatching the laptop off the table, and makes a mad dash of about a foot before his loose shoelace snags on the table leg, causing him to trip. The brand new, non-warranted, super-duper 90XX laptop goes flying out of Skeletor's hands. Oh no. Oh, there is some musical accompaniment here, so I'll play that. And the corner strikes the concrete first, the case splitting open as a million tiny glittering shards the size of grains of sand burst forth in a beautiful corona of ruined electronics and broken dreams. Zuka told me in a PM that it went about 12 yards. So this guy must have picked up quite a bit of speed in just 1 foot. Wrangler lets out a choked gurgle of pure and utter despair, bespectacled eyes flooding with tears of bitter unhappiness and misery as he drops to his knees. Slumsy leaps into action, literally. The guy leaps onto Skeletor's back like an enraged koala and grapples that flailing stick insect of a man like he owes him money. Well, he does, owe money that is, to Wrangler, if that hasn't been made completely clear by now. Ahem. I kneel beside Skeletor. Why'd you do it, man? Wrangler trusted you with that money. Skeletor looks up from his prone position, his fedora having rolled off his head, the top of which I am now seeing for the first time, and beholding an almost Occidental-style, near perfectly round ring of baldness on the top 38% of his head. With the percentage and everything. The rest of his hairline hosting long, greasy strings. Friggin' Crypt Keeper comparisons again, man. He looked at me with the equivalent of a vengeful glower, which is to say the indifferent stare of this alien. 'Cause you guys didn't back me up, and you let me get eaten by aliens, he says in that nonchalance that one uses when explaining what ought to be patently obvious for all to see. Water being wet, dust being dry, Gordon Ramsay being amazing, etc., etc. I gape at him, at a loss. Wait, you stole $3,500 from Wrangler because you're butthurt about your character dying?
Bitch, I wish I could do that every fucking time I died.
Slumsy blurts out.
I've died more than all you assholes combined. Don't see me being a fucking thief.
Radio shakes his head. You are one pathetic little man, Skelly. Dragon keeps an iron grip on Wrangler, whose head is now purple, his teeth gritted until an audible crack can be heard, nails dug into his palms to the point of drawing blood. Wrangler takes one step, then his eyes roll back into his head, and he slumps against Dragon, fainting from sheer, overwhelming stress on his already badly taxed system. A wail of sirens signals the arrival of, you guessed it, Santa Maria's Boys and Girls in Blue. Cards are laid on the table, and to make a long and boring part of this tale short, by the end of it, myself, Dragon, Ninetails, Wrangler, and Radio walked out of the police station, while Slumsy and Skeletor did not. Slumsy, titanic bro that he was at the time, confessed to power slamming Skeletor and essentially starting the fight. He said he was comfortable with his decision and understood the consequences. He and Skeletor got dinged for public disturbance and got a few dozen hours of community service, and with the help of a lawyer brother of Ninetails, a civil suit saw Wrangler's money returned to him. 18 months later, granted, but still, cash is back in his pocket, with interest. This event saw the beginning of Skeletor's one-man, short-lived crime spree, which eventually got him nabbed for possession, theft, a few other small things that amounted to him doing a nickel at nearby Lompoc. Boy, that kid's gonna get ate up in there. Can't feel too bad though. You reap what you sow. Verily, when his character got thrown to the googly-eyed wolves, something snapped in his brittle psyche. These days he works at a furniture store and lives in the house he inherited from his grandmother when she quietly passed in her sleep one winter morning. Never feel good about the dead grandmas. That part's sad. Goodness only knows how he stays living in a senior village, but none of us care enough to look into things. After these events, not a game session would go by that Wrangler didn't shoehorn in Skeletor to curse him and the very ground that he trod on. I'm sure there's some kind of profound lesson in here somewhere, but I like to think that the cautionary element to this story is pretty self-evident. But just in case you missed it, now, at the end of the Skeletor saga, I tell you this. Choose very carefully the company that you keep. Oh, I thought it was gonna be like, use a bank or something. Yours is way better, Zuka. Thank you for taking this journey down memory lane with me. It is 91% true and accurate with a few minor entertainment embellishments. Ave Maria did in fact not play when Skeletor fumbled the lappy, for instance. And alliterations were used for the sake of protecting the privacy of all involved. Major gratitude to ReddX for being the first to read this saga, and shouts out to Fun with Failure, Hellfreezer, and Reddit Brew. Y'all are the best. Stay tuned, kiddies!
Tale from the crypt.
The next installment of BurgerBeard is just around the corner, and I'll have another mini-series to satisfy your questionable tastes. Hey! That takes some amount of offense. The thrilling mini-series of Bubba Beard. Oh my goodness. Bubba Beard? Booger Beard? I hope I don't get them all mixed up. Anyways, Zuka out. Also, Wrangler finally did get himself a bank account. Oh, thank God for that. At the end of the day, things didn't turn out as bad as they could have, I suppose. I don't know how in the hell this dude thought he was just gonna walk away with like $3,000+ and everybody's gonna be like, okay, no problem. Bro, I will hunt you down over $300. I'll hunt you down over $20. Probably not as hard as if you had stolen $3,000, but God, you got to be so dumb to think that this is gonna work. And I know that it was just an excuse. He didn't give a shit about that character. It was obvious at every turn that he's just like, oh, whatever, yeah. Oh, my character's dead? Well, this is a great opportunity for me to steal money from my friend. Poor Wrangler, dude. He kind of reminds me of Osgood, you know, from the Adelaide saga. He's just got a pure heart. He's a real good kid, I can tell, and I hope he stops getting taken advantage of by other people. I do know from past sagas that Slumsy is eventually going to turn and reveal himself as a major neckbeard. Spoilers! But I'd like to see how that comes about, because in this story, he seems like a freaking hero, but people change over time, little by little. So I think that the moral of the story is quite apt. You need to choose very carefully the company that you keep. And generally I do, you know, I'll cut people out in real life for like a first offense. You know what I mean? You said the wrong thing? Well, I can tell we're not going to get along. I'm not going to invest any more time in this friendship. I love them all as humans, but as individual people, I don't know. The people that I do love are my subscribers, my commenters, the people that like the videos. Seriously, the biggest heroes, pushing this channel forward and making my dreams happen, which is super, super awesome. I hope that one day I can repay you guys in kind. So if you did enjoy the Skeletor series, I do hope that you will like, comment, and or subscribe. Maybe share the video around, the first part, the second part. Eventually I'll compile them all into one video. I know it's probably going to be pretty beefy, but it must be done. Although I'll probably wait like a good while to actually do it, because I want it to fall out of people's consciousness first. So maybe there's a chance that they'll rewatch the videos. Anyways, I hope you'll also check out the links in the description. We got some cool stuff down there. Mr. and Mrs. ReddX, that's my wife's channel. Ooh, she published a new vlog recently. I hope you go check that out. We got my personal subreddit, r/ReddXReads, if you want to share something with me. We got the Amazon affiliate link, which I'm trying to make happen. And we've also got the Teespring, if you want to rock the merch. There's a bunch of other social media stuff down there. You know, Twitter, Discord, Patreon, Facebook, etc., etc. It just goes on and on. But probably most important of all are my gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful, generous patrons. You're seeing some names on the screen right now. Currently, Josh K is the highest donator, so big shouts out to him first and foremost. But honestly, I would like to thank them all, but especially ZeroMMX, Lady Nix, Robert Waits, Pope Squid, Rebecca H, Cider Drinker, Tato Ferret, The Last Shinobi, Mark 211, Michael Undead, Aaron W, Mitch, John Hero, Josh K, again, the King, Candy Sora, DigiNZ, Fire Drake, Little Lone Wolf, Lone Island, Shara, Marvin the Moth, Miss Monday, Silent Revolver, JM Coon, Leon Embers, and TSM Kirby. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel monetarily. It is just huge to me. Some stuff does get demonetized every once in a while. It's really nice to be able to lean back on those patrons, not have to worry about it so much. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much. If anybody else can support monetarily, it is huge. I thank you in advance. But if you can't right now, don't sweat it too hard, man. I just appreciate you coming on through, hanging out with me, and I hope that you come on back and hang out with me again tomorrow. In order to do so, you'll need to keep yourself safe out there. Wash your hands. That virus is still creeping around, boys. Wash them hands, I'm telling you. But also, don't stress too much. You know, you got to take some time out and do something for yourself today. Something that you personally enjoy. Maybe watching another ReddX video. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, and you definitely deserve it. I will see you in the next one. And until then, bye-bye.